Good to see you again. How are things going?
Mr. Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, dear Congressman Connolly, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight, celebrating centennial anniversary of Georgia's first democratic republic. Our history goes centuries and our statehood as well, but we have managed to establish our first democratic republic in 1918. With all the democratic institutions, we have adopted constitution with all fundamental freedoms and rights, and we are proud of our history, the 3 years of independence, after which the Red Army had entered Georgia, and we have regained independence in 1991. And since then, Georgia has been looking out for friends, and the United States was one of the first and the fierce ones who has lent a hand of support to the independent state, Georgia, and for years the support of the United States to Georgia's independence, to its sovereignty, has been crucial. Georgia has transformed itself over the years due to the support by its friends. We have transformed from the recipient of the assistance and to the strong contributor of the Euro-Atlantic security, contributor of the democratic development in our part of the world. And today we are happy to continue our good tradition of holding the receptions at this beautiful Rayburn meeting. I was really happy to see the Georgia caucus of the Congress being so responsive and co-hosting this event with us. Thank you very much, Congressman Connolly. Unfortunately, Congressman Paul couldn't join us, but I wanted to use this opportunity and thank you, both of you, our champions here at the Congress, for your continuous support over the years. We are proud to welcome Georgia's delegation. We are proud to welcome Georgian Prime Minister here in DC today. And without further ado, let me first invite Congressman Connolly to address you tonight.
Gamar Jobat. It is great to be with you again, celebrating Georgia's independence, which was truncated by the Red Army, and is now celebrated again. And Georgia is such an important example in a piece of geography where democracy has not always fared so well. And the Georgian people have had the courage to express themselves and to declare their independence, but also their political pluralism, to assert a democratic form of government in a neighborhood where autocracy and authoritarianism all too often has taken root. It takes particular courage for Georgia to express itself in this way, given the predisposition of its big neighbor, Russia. And we in America, we in this Congress, stand by Georgia. We will support Georgia. We admire your courage, and we've formed a robust caucus here in the Congress to do just that. We've passed resolutions expressing our support for not only Georgian independence, but especially for Georgian courage. We have seen other signs. While authoritarianism has seemingly expanded in some parts of the world, we recently saw an example in your neighborhood when the Armenian people rose up and decided they were tired of an authoritarian form of government and expressed themselves in the streets, brought down that government. Now, it's early days, but our hope is that Armenia will follow the model of Georgia and will take inspiration from Georgia, because we here believe that freedom and liberty are universal values. They're not limited to a particular culture. They're not limited to the West. They represent the aspirations of any human being wanting to express himself or herself, wanting to live their lives unfettered, unpoliced, when it comes to thought, political expression, the right to freely worship as one chooses. And so for us, freedom and liberty are not just abstract values. They are things we care about and we've died for to protect. And Georgia is doing the same. We will not rest until Georgian territory is returned to the sovereign state of Georgia, and that the Russian occupation of those parts of Georgia must end. I'm going to a NATO meeting this week in Poland, where we will reiterate that position as NATO in making sure that we show solidarity as that alliance with our friends in Georgia. We were proud to have the NATO Parliamentary Assembly meeting last year in Georgia, which was a very important symbol and a very important statement not only to ourselves in the alliance and to Georgia, but to your neighbor, Russia, that we do stand in solidarity. So it's a great privilege and honor to be with you today to celebrate this anniversary and to encourage the spirit of Georgia, not only in your country, but in other parts of the neighborhood as well. Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Congressman, for encouraging words. And we enjoy the strategic partnership between our two countries. And today we had a very important day. Once a year we hold the Strategic Partnership Charter that is headed by the Secretary of State and Prime Minister. Today with the Secretary of State Pompeo we held the Strategic Partnership Charter, and therefore we are happy today to host the Prime Minister and the delegation here. Mr. Prime Minister, this is the team that works tirelessly about promoting Georgia, promoting our territorial integrity, supporting our NATO aspirations, and we are happy to see these people now gathering and welcoming you. So welcome, Prime Minister, and please.
Thank you, David. Honorable Congressman Connolly, dear friends, let me start by thanking co-chairs of Georgia Caucasus, Honorable Congressman Connolly and Congressman Paul, for your tireless efforts to support Georgia in this very challenging endeavor. And I would like to thank all of our friends for your contribution to further deepen the partnership between the United States and Georgia. Today at Walter Reed National Medical Center, I visited Georgian Lieutenant Iveri Buadze, a warrior wounded last September in resolute support mission in Afghanistan. A beautiful young man who loves his nation and his mission. He told me, "This is my duty. My service proudly makes Georgia known to American and European friends. And with this, I believe our dream of NATO and EU membership will become reality." I wanted to share with you to remind that we are in debt to these soldiers who protect global security and stability. We are so proud of heroes like Iveri, who binds us together as family in our shared missions. Our soldiers are proud to serve alongside with US soldiers. They have bonded and become companions in arms. Our men and women are cut from the same cloth. Georgia has suffered more casualties per capita than any NATO country except the United States in these conflicts. We are proud and honored in supporting our common security agenda. We are stronger together than apart, the literal meaning of strategic partnership. In the early days of our independence, which we regained in 1991, Georgia reaped the benefits of congressional efforts, the marvelous. You and your colleagues band of brothers like you and your predecessors, convened in Congress as the Georgia Caucasus, parachuted into many conflicts for us. And one can only imagine smothered lots of potentially lethal explosions. For these interventions and for many acts of kindness toward the Georgian people, I express my deepest thanks on their behalf. Today, I wish to give you a short report card on our efforts to justify your support and confidence. We have listened to your advice on reforming and developing our country, and we acted often with the assistance of great American institutions such as USAID, MCC, OPIC. The Georgian people feel what international institutions state clearly. Georgia has advanced in all international rankings in the past 5 years. According to the Index of Economic Freedom 2018 by Heritage Foundation, Georgia ranks 16th as opposed to 34th in 2012. In judicial independence, according to the same report, we advanced by 22 points compared to 2012. In the Reporters Without Borders 2018 World Press Freedom Index, Georgia occupies 61st place globally, a significant 43 positions improvement in comparison to 2012, well ahead of many EU member countries, by the way. World Economic Forum's 2017-18 Global Competitiveness Index ranks Georgia among top countries where property rights are upheld, improving our standing by 74 positions compared to 2012. Georgia has responded to these reforms by generating the best growth rates in its wider region. GDP per capita growth in 2017 was GDP growth, it was 5%. Free trade agreements with the European Union, the European Free Trade Association, EFTA, Turkey, the CIS countries, and most recently with China, put Georgia in reach of a market of more than 2 billion consumers. Discussions with India for an FTA began this year. Georgia believes that a free trade agreement with the United States is a sensible step forward. Georgia's new deep-sea waterport in Anaglia on the Black Sea, when completed, will be able to handle the world's largest Panamax ships. Operated by an American, Seattle-based company, SSA Marine, it will vastly reduce the shipping time for time-sensitive, high-value goods between Asia and Europe that takes weeks, sometimes months, by sea. The next logical step in our relationship, buttressed by both economic and strategic importance, is a free trade agreement. We seek it, and we seek your help to realize it. Think what this will represent for American businesses. A vital entry point for American expertise, capital, and goods to a market of more than 2 billion consumers. Dear members of Congress, dear friends, the tempo of Eurasia is quickening from the stimuli of new trade routes, like the emerging Trans-Caspian Corridor and the new Silk Road. The participants from around the world are now pursuing Eurasia's burgeoning opportunities. America must be a key driver of these opportunities and one of the main beneficiaries. The significance of Georgia's unique position and therefore of the importance of its strategic partnership with the United States can only grow. Now is the time to pursue a bilateral trade agreement that will bring economic and security benefits to both of our nations. Partnership and strategy go hand in hand with peace and stability. A century ago, Georgia set its course. Come hell or high water, as Americans say, with the West. Our culture is European, with strong American accents. Our outlook is Western and transatlantic, as are our values and politics. Our commitment to democracy and human rights, the bedrock of Western and European values, is solid, deep, and sustainable. Thank you, Georgia Caucasus. We have surmounted so many challenges together. More remain, but working together, we have the momentum to carry us to a more prosperous and peaceful future. Thank you very much.